We will be doing practice 2 to draw the die line for another box, this time round for the auto lock bottom. So if you look here on the right side, this is where the final outcome of your die line together with the bleed on how it's going to be. Um, in continuation to practice 1, we'll be using some components from practice 1, um, which looks like that. Um, so let's understand what is required for practice 2 first. Okay, so we are to create a A3 size artboard. Draw the die line for the box with dimension 160 and 120. So here I'll show you an illustration of how the box is going to be when it is formed and it is upright. So here you can see that the length is 100 and width wise, or you can say that is the depth of the box is 60 and height of the box is 120. So when the box form up, it should give you this three dimension. Okay, and we are to include a tuck end for the top, which is this top panel. So the tuck end is what we have done from practice 1. So from practice 1, you can see that later on I'll put a link where practice 1 video is going to be in case you don't know how to construct the practice 1 die line. Details are here. So this is what we need to extract. So this is the locking mechanism for the top flap where it's going to tuck into the box, and together with the dust flap there's going to be the locking system here as well. So these are the details that we have to preserve, so we will adopt this later in the practice 2. Okay, so so we are to include that in the top end, top for the top part. We are also to include the details for the auto lock bottom. So at the bottom here, you see the dimensions that's given specifically for you to construct the die line for the auto lock system for the bottom part of the box. And then at the end, we will need to create the bleed margin of 3 mm from the main panels, as well as the bottom part. No color is required, but then we are supposed to still do a 3 mm bleed. So you can see here on the right side where the final outcome is going to be like. You can see that most part of the bottom is actually white in color, because when the box is put on the shelf, let's say in the market, the bottom part is not seen, so we will save in terms of ink. There's no need for ink to be printed here, but we will introduce a bit of bleed from the panel, from the main panels all the way down a bit here, bleed 3 mm. Okay, so that is what we will have to do, and also to include name and class in as part of the job sheet, and also at the bottom part. So here you can see the final outcome. Here we will include this as part of the job spec. Very important, because when you print out, the printer will need to know what project is this and who does it belong to. And also here to include some details, your name and class, so that everyone will not be mixed up with their own boxes. Okay, so let's start. We will create a new document. So we go File, New, and you can click on Print. You can use the preset of A3. Make sure it is in mm, and orientation again will be landscape. The rest of the settings you can leave it as default, and let's create. So we'll start from a blank page this way. As mentioned, we will be needing some details from practice 1, which is this one. So I will be copying this entire thing over for our use later on. Okay, so let me just copy this. I'm just going to put it at the side here. Okay, and can remove all the other details that is not needed. Okay, so maybe let's start off with the main segment. So you can see that the main segments are the walls here. So front, so we have the front panel, the right panel, left, the other side we cannot see, the top panel and the bottom panel, which is the details here, and then the back panel as well. So the glue area is going to be connected here at the side. Okay, so inside. So we will first create the main walls first. You can see here front and back panel is the same size, left and right panel is the same size. So let's create the front panel here, which is 100 by 120. Okay, so again, we will utilize our sample. So if you haven't draw the die line and fold line, you can create that first as your sample. Sorry, let me just create two lines using a line segment tool. Okay, so this will have a stroke of 0.3 point. Okay, and then one of them is red in color for your cut line. So if you want, you can put in a text as a reminder, cut line. Okay, and then we have a fold line. Fold line. Okay, so for the fold line, again, it will be also 0.3 point size. Color will be blue in color and also with dash line. So I'm gonna again use 4, and the gap, if you leave it blank, it will repeat 4 as well. So 4, so dash is 4, gap is 4, dash is 4. Yeah, so it's gonna repeat 4 all the way. Okay, so again, we're gonna use the rectangle tool, click the tool, click once, and you input the dimension. So the width is 100 and the height is 120. So this, if you select, okay, use the eyedropper, we will adopt the cut line here. So again, because the line is very thin, I'm gonna create them thicker. So this is for demonstration purposes, so you can see it a bit clearer. So I'm gonna use 2 point and 1 point for the fold line. Okay, so let me just take a adopt that look. So remember, cut line is these lines are supposed to be 0.3 point. Okay, so we have front and back panel done, and then we need to do the, again, I did a duplication. So this is a front and back, and then the side will just transform. So the side is supposed to be 60 by 120. So I will just change this because this is already 120. I just need to change it to 60. So make sure it is not linked here. So width will be 60. Okay. So again, just be careful if your transform. Check whether the scale is on. Mine is on, so it should be off. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn that off and again adopt the look of my cut line. So one panel for the left, one for the right, and then the glue flap. Okay, all this is very easy to achieve. So based on practice 1, the glue flap is 15. Okay, if I'm not wrong, so this is going to be 15 in width. 15. Okay, so let's line them up again using the key object. Line them up. So if I'm going too fast, you will need to refer to practice 1 video because I've already gone through all this. Okay, so That's why I'm going at a faster pace here. Okay, so at the top here, we will have a top panel. So top panel, if you look at the specs, it's supposed to be this dimension. Okay, so it's supposed to be 60 by 100. So height will be 60 instead. Okay, so 60 here. Okay, so for the top flap where it's going to tuck in the details, that will be based on the same for practice 1. Okay, so bottom part is where the details for the auto lock will come in. Okay, so we're going to also use the dust flap. We'll go through that later on. So let's first take the details of practice 1, which is this locking mechanism on the end of this is a tuck end, right? So we will need that. Okay, so the bleed will no longer need them. So let me just ungroup because they are grouped together from the first practice. So this is actually what we want. Okay, so we want this entire piece. We actually also want the dust flap. So this is one side. Okay, so the orientation is different, so let's just rotate it first. Okay, and also the dimension is different, so the details here we cannot change because we have already drawn it for practice 1. Okay, so we will not change the details for here, we will not change the rounded corner as well. Okay, so very easy. We will just group this first so that it's easier to handle. So make sure your smart guide is turned on. Okay, smart guides here, make sure it's turned on, and then we're gonna roll over and make sure they are aligned together. Okay, aligned together. Okay, just be careful because there are a lot of points here, so it's a bit hard to see. Sorry, let me zoom in. Okay, so important is later on we'll go to outline mode. So this is flush, so you can see that I need to aim this particular point towards this point. Okay, so roll over, you see the word anchor, click and drag, press the command key if you are on the Mac, or control key if you are on the PC, and then it will snap to this corner. Okay, so currently this side of the placement is correct. Okay, lengthwise is not, but we will alter that later on. Okay, seems a bit confusing because of the lines, right? Okay, same color. Let me undo that first, okay, so that you can see the difference. Okay, so this is ultimately the size that we have to achieve, which is 100 and this is 60. Okay, so this is the final size that we would want to get. So what I will do is I will change this thicker and also a different color so that it is just a reference. Okay, this object eventually will be on top so you can see. So let me shift to the front. You can easily arrange that to be the front. So you right click on this group, arrange and bring to front. If you can memorize this shortcut key, that would be the best. So again, I'm going to aim for this particular point and shift it to that point. Okay, so you roll over, you need to zoom in if you are too far. Okay, so roll over, hold the command key, click and drag. Okay, so you will see that this corner is aligned to this part. Okay, so next we probably will want to work in isolation. So this particular group that I aligned already, I will double click. Okay, using the white arrow, select direct selection tool. So I will select everything from here to less than halfway point. So I can drag this line. So while click and drag, I can hold the shift key to constrain the axis and it will snap to this extreme end. Okay, So now I need to do is this bottom part here, there's going to be an anchor point, another anchor point. It needs to go up to this line. Okay, so let's again use the white arrow direct selection tool, click and drag and hold the shift key. At the same time, it will snap in place at this position. Okay, so that should be done for this part. Okay, so again, remember to go to outline mode and check whether things are aligned nicely. So outline mode is here under view, and command Y is the shortcut. Currently, I'm already in my outline mode. So if I want to go out of the outline mode, you do the same command, which is preview. Okay, so if I can select the green, so that is the correct size, I can delete that because I have already achieved the correct dimension. Okay, so now the dust flap. So this dust flap is catered, or this is created for practice 1. So practice 1, sizing is different. So definitely the dust flap is different. Okay, so we'll need to make sure that it is the correct size for the new one. So when the dust flap, okay, so try to imagine for this top panel. Okay, so looking at from the top, so when the dust flap is closed, it will line up this way. Okay, so I'll need to do a bit of rotation in the correct orientation. Okay, so sorry, let me do that again. So R for rotate, click and drag anywhere, and while I'm rotating, hold the shift key and then it will constrain the axis. So this is, it needs to be in this position. Okay, and then the other one, currently the size is wrong, just let you know. The other one will be opposite facing. Okay, so generally it looks like that when it is close. So imagine if you are looking from the top. So this is the top that we are looking at. So this is the top piece. Let me just write it down. Okay, and then when the flap is closed, you will have this there. Okay, so as a designer for this packaging or this structure, you can decide how the dust flap is going to be like. Whether do you want to have a gap like this, or do you want the dust flap to overlap like this? So the choice is actually up to you. Okay, so for me, I'm just gonna leave it as closing just in the middle like this. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it like that. So this is my reference, so I'm just gonna leave it first. Okay, so the box that we want to achieve is this. Okay, eventually when it's closed, it will be closed this way. I'm gonna draw a center line. Okay, so center line, and then I'm gonna align it to this box. Okay, so make sure you select this as key object and then center. So there you have it. This is the center line. So eventually I just need to draw one, and then I will reflect for the other side. Okay, so let me just probably double click to go into isolation, then it's easier to handle. Okay, so in isolation mode, I will select this object. Maybe I will target this top part first. Okay, so this top part will need to align to that. Okay, let me do that again. It's not done properly. So let me explain. So this particular point needs to go to this corner. So just be very careful, not this corner. It's this one outside. Okay, so click and drag, hold the command key. So that is that corner. Okay, go again. You can see that mine is not aligned properly. You can see the double line. Okay, so maybe out of outline mode. Let me try that again. So it's this line. Okay, you can see the pink color object shown because of the, let me check. Oh, I actually didn't draw correctly for the first part. Okay, so let me just shift this out first. So you can see it's not aligned properly. Yeah. So let me just check the dimension. Yeah, because the dimension is not that accurate. So for the top piece, it's supposed to be 100 by 60. Okay, now it's correct. Okay, so now let's just align them in place. Again, let me change to a different color. And also make it thicker. So same for the center line. So this is my reference piece or reference piece. Okay, so that is what I'm trying to achieve. So this, let's realign, make sure this center line is in the center so you can see that it shifted a bit. Okay, outline mode again, outline, so you can see now it's perfectly aligned. Okay, let's go back to preview. Okay, again, this particular one, this detail is important, so it needs to, I need to join this to this side. Okay, so roll over, come to here. Let me just arrange it to be in front so it's easier to see. Okay, so you can see, let's go to outline mode. Okay, correct. Okay, so it is in place already. Okay, so right now, let me go into isolation and then do the other changes. Okay, so this bottom part, these details, we also want. Okay, so we will shift this bottom part using direct selection, white arrow. Okay, so click and drag. Again, it will snap in place. Okay, so now what's left is this line needs to be all the way here because this is the midpoint, right? So let's make sure you use the white arrow, direct selection, click on this line, click and drag and hold the shift key. Okay, so you might ask, how about the details? How about this line? Well, eventually this little space is not that critical, so we can leave the angle as it is. Okay, the important part is this catchment and this little gap. Okay, so eventually we're gonna have two of this. So let me just duplicate another copy here. So duplicate, holding the option key and shift key to constrain the axis, and then mirror this. I flip horizontally and I'm gonna shift this in place, using selection tool. Okay, so that is how it will look from the top, looking from the top when it's closed. Okay, so as I mentioned just now, okay, let me just group, let me just remove this so that it is easier to see. Okay, so as I mentioned just now, that sometimes, so you as a designer, you can determine how the structure is going to be. So whether you want overlap like this, okay, you can do that. So if you're going to do that, make sure you compensate with the other side. So it should be uniform, although I do have seen packages that are not uniform. So this is overlap when the dust flap are closed. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave them as equal. Okay, so this one I will just throw it away. Eventually, this side, as long as you rotate, okay, this is here and rotate, okay, and that there. So that is done. Okay, so that detail is done. So I'm not gonna go through how to do the diagonal cut. Again, please refer to practice one video on how to do the diagonal cut. Okay, I will do it very fast later on for the bottom one. So later on, we're going to do the locking system. Okay, so back to the template. Okay, here, outstanding would be this flap and the bottom part. So you can see that for the auto lock system, this is in sets of two. So you can see there is a bigger one and the smaller one, the bigger one and the smaller one. They are exactly the same. Okay, so all you need to do is to do one set, and you just need to replicate and ship them to the other side. Okay, so now let's zoom in to look at the details. Okay, so first of all, let's tackle the glue flap area. So this is a 43-degree angle. So let's just do this one first quickly. Okay, so before I forget, let's just save our file. Okay, I'm just gonna save it in case anything happens. Demo. Okay. Okay, again, I mentioned you can do the top piece on your own. Okay, so in order for it to rotate 40 degrees this way, the first 0 degree will be here. So make sure you draw a vertical line and not this way, because we want to get Illustrator to rotate from the 0 point onwards. Okay, so using line segment tool, click and drag here, and then use selection tool, press R for rotate, press enter to bring out the dialog box, enter the angle, which is 43, and then make sure you press the tab, or you can preview, press 2 times. So you will see that it has rotated from 0 this way for the 43 degree. Okay, so again, the point was 0 here, and then it rotated 43 degree there. Okay, so this is the correct angle. We just need to click and drag, come to hold the command key, it will snap here in this angle, and then use the direct selection tool, click on this point and click and drag and hold the shift key, and it will snap there. Again, please go to outline mode to check the accuracy. Okay, and then you can delete that away. Okay, so now the interesting part is the bottom part. Okay, so before you get all crazy because of all this dimension, a few guiding lines to emphasize. After that, I think it will be easier to tackle. Okay, so center line. Okay, so center line is very important because there are certain things that is coming in details from the center line, because this is a rectangular box. When it closes, there are certain things that fold in 45 degrees. So the 45 degrees indicated here needs to be shown. Okay, so but first of all, we will draw center line here. Okay, and then another center line here. So you will see that there's this reference rectangle. So this is actually made up of 2 square boxes. Okay, so so square boxes are very important to form, to get your 45 later on. Okay, so we need to maybe draw a reference box. Okay, center line and 45. So let's just do that first, which is our reference box. Okay, so we know that this is 60, so our square, perfect square, will be 60 by 60. Okay, and I'm gonna change this to a different color so that we can distinguish it very easily. Okay, and we're gonna draw a line. The line should ideally be the same length, 60 as well. So let me just quickly change that to 60, and then a line in the center. Okay, So I will duplicate this. Sorry, let me duplicate another one and then rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm gonna align everything. Okay, the last diagonal lines. Okay, so you can just use the pen tool. Let me turn on my smart guides. Using direct selection, I have drawn one, then copy and paste, and then rotate constraint with 45 degrees. So this is your reference line. Okay, so I'm just gonna make the inside line dash so that it's different, and my dash I'm gonna make it longer. Okay, so anyway, this is just for reference only, so I'm gonna group all this. Okay, so there's gonna be one here, okay, for the width side, and for the longer side there's gonna be two. So as long as you flush one to this side and flush one along to this side, you are okay. Okay, so I'm gonna duplicate another one, and this one will flush to that side. Yeah, there's many lines, so hopefully you won't get too confused later on. Okay, maybe I change the line to a thinner line so it's not so confusing. Okay, so same thing, this one change to 1. Okay, so center line is missing, so we need the center line from this. Okay, so this center line we need as a reference. This is important, so let's just draw another line segment as reference. So, and then we will align to this particular, make sure you select the correct box. Okay, so it's going to be using this as key object, align center. Okay, you will know that it is in the center when it crosses this 45 degrees. Okay, so this center line is very important. Let's give this a different color. Orange, no, okay, this color. Okay, so that's my center line. So now we can start to draw certain things. The first one is this reference line here. Okay, so how far do we draw away? Yeah, so what is the dimension? Okay, so this dimension is actually, it mentioned that it is 30% of the width from the center line. Okay, so you can see this is your square, right? This is your square, and this is your center line. Okay, same thing, we have a center line here. Okay, so I just need to calculate, I need to find out what is the width. So the width is 60 indicated here. So 30% of width is actually 18. Okay, so 18 is from this center line all the way to here. That is your 18. Okay, so including here, so here to here will be half of the square, correct? So here to here is actually half the square. Okay, so we know 1 square is 60. So coming here, this is half of this is 60 divided by 2. Okay, then plus another 18. So altogether, let's just do a square. Huh? So 60 divided by 2, okay, which gives you 30. Then after that, we can plus 18. Okay, so this is 48. So let's just use the same figure. Okay, so this is my reference line. Let me just use a solid line. Okay, so I'll just use this as a guide. So this is actually where my first line is supposed to be. Okay, I'm just gonna draw my cut line. Okay, so this is my first line reference. Okay, this is my first line. The second line is here, which I need later on. Okay, so let me draw a bit there as well. Okay, so let me duplicate. So again, this is here in the center. Okay, you can see it's at the center, and then meet where the 45 intersect. Okay, so that one will move 45. Okay, next 5 degree. So the 5 degree, this slope is 5 degree. It's very easy. You just need to get your 0 degree and then rotate 5 degree. So again, let's draw a longer line. This is my cut line. Okay, this is 0 degree. Press R, press enter, and need to rotate 5 and then press tab to check. Okay, so this is correct already. So I'm gonna shift that there. Okay, so this line is drawn, this line is drawn. Okay, next, we need to project this particular center point here. Okay, let me change color so you can see. Okay. Okay, here in the center, we're gonna draw another 4 mm downwards and then 45 degrees downwards. That's your two other line later on. Okay, so 4 mm. Okay, these new lines that we have drawn, probably we will group them and go into isolation, so it's easier to manage. Okay, so click and draw a rectangle 4x4 as reference. So shift this here, so that is your 4 downwards, and draw another line that is 45 degrees here. Okay, so let me do that one more time. Using the pen tool, P for pen, click once. You need to have another point here, but it needs to be in 45 degrees. So again, press the shift key to constrain the angle to 45 degrees. Make sure it's not here or here, okay? So while you hold the shift key, make sure you sort of go along 45 degrees and then just click another time, okay? Then you can use the move tool, V. Okay, so from here, go down 45 degrees. Okay, so what we are looking at is getting this line here, join down, move by 4 and 45 degrees. That's your other lines. Okay, so we have them already. So another tool I will introduce is called the cut tool. So you can see all these I have drawn very long so that they intersect each other. So this cut tool can roll over and then you cut that line. So whatever is selected, you can actually throw it away. Just be careful of the ghost anchor line. Okay. Again, these two, you can cut. So use that. C for cut. And click selection tool. Get rid of that. Okay, this one you can use direct selection and just click and drag. Okay. So if you want to join this point, you are free to do that. Probably easier later on to handle, but I'm not going to do that. Okay. So again, I'm going to click this, use the scissors, C for scissors, roll over. As long as you see the word intersect, click on it, go back to selection tool, and then delete this away. Okay, so that is done. And this, we do not need anymore. Oh, we actually need the line to draw downwards. Okay, so let's go isolation. I can remove this line, click on this anchor and remove that. Okay, so what's left? Let's go and see the drawing. Okay, so we need another 45 degrees here for this line, and this is the same as this line. Okay, so which we have deleted, but it's okay, so we just need to extend that line later on. So again, remember to work in isolation, like double click. So I can duplicate. So this needs to go 45 degrees. So let's check 45 degrees this way. So use the pen tool, click, and shift key, click. Okay, so that is your 45. Okay, use the scissors, roll over, delete. Put an anchor point, then you can select and delete. Okay, this one you can shift if you want to. It's the faster way. Okay, so now we need to draw this vertical line, which is actually not on this line. It's 2 mm away. So follow this. Let's just have another line that's 2 mm away from this main line. Okay, so I will draw width 2 mm, height probably I'll just do a longer one. Let's do 70. Okay, so I'll just align using selection tool, align here. Okay, eventually this will stop here and go up straight. Okay, so the last thing now is this rear angle. So it is this dimension of 8 in a 90 degrees from this point. Okay, so not difficult. After you break it down, all you need to draw is actually using rectangle tool, 8 by 8 box. Okay, then after that, using R to rotate, click and drag, and hold the shift key, constrain to 45 degrees. Okay, so then come to this anchor point, come to this anchor point. Okay, again, from this anchor point, you're gonna drag to this particular anchor point. Okay, so click and drag, and then join that. Okay, so now we need to eliminate things that you don't need. Okay, so we have this drawn, we have this drawn correctly. It needs to go up and then it needs to go across this way. So that is what we need. Okay, so things that you don't need. Okay, let me double click. Let's remove this. Okay, using the selection tool. I don't need that. This one needs to be at the correct place. Okay, and then let me just remove, sorry, isolation, remove that. Okay, then I can perhaps use shape builder tool, can combine this, can remove this line. Shape builder tool, you need to be a bit careful. They don't anyhow delete stuff. Okay, so that is what I need. Okay, let's just pull apart and check. Okay, so that is all that I need. Okay, so again, if you want to, you can join them all together. Okay, so you can use the direct selection. Now I have not select, this is joined already, so it's okay. So maybe I want to join this up. So you select both, you can right click and join. Okay, so now it has becomes together. Yeah, so this is an extra point. Using minus, I can delete that away. Okay, this is to keep your files a bit cleaner. Again, use selection tool, click and drag a square to select them both. Shortcut for join is actually J, Command J, I think. Let me see. So path here, join, Command J. Okay, so that's join. So using selection tool, you can pull them apart. It's not that really critical to remove additional anchor points, but yeah, if you want to be neat, you can do that. So I've dragged it out, press minus to delete anchor point, and then I can click that away. Oh, I realized this is not straight, so something is wrong. Okay, I think I have to be careful here. This is a bit too long. Okay, so I know this is straight. I'll just draw another shape here. Using shape builder, I will just remove that away. Okay, then I can join. Select both using selection tool, Command J to join, and you can minus away the additional points. Okay, again, selection tool, join these 2 points, Command J. Okay, and then yeah, so if you have all these unwanted ones, you can delete them away. Okay, again, select here, join, select J, Command J. So you can see I toggle between different tools very quickly with shortcut. So A for direct selection tool, click and drag, Command J to join, press A, direct selection tool, click and join, and then join. Okay, this is another additional point. This one don't have, and that's it. This shape is almost done except for the rounded end, which we need to introduce. So radius 4 here, another radius 4 there. Okay, so you just need to use direct selection tool, double click on this circle, press 4, and then OK. Same for this corner, double click, 4, and then OK. That is done. Okay, so if all this is confusing, you can remove them. Okay, so last check. I have accidentally deleted or haven't drawn this. Okay, so there's a fold line. So if you want to, you can draw the fold line. It's actually a connection between this point to this point. Okay, so let me just get my fold line here. So select I for eyedropper. Let's take that look. Okay, so that is my fold line done. Okay, so now the center one, this part, this smaller piece. So let's take a look at the details. Again, this is your center line is very important. This center line for this line, this center line for this point. Okay, and then this 45 degrees, this is 20 degrees. So this one is easier to do. Okay, so I have the center line. I actually don't need this anymore. So this center line, so this is 45 degrees, another 20 degrees here. Okay, so use my pen tool. Let's draw the 45 degrees one first, and then get the look of the. Okay, so from here, join here, so that is 45. I go into isolation. Then this will go straight. Okay, so you can have another line here. Okay, and then you can shift the anchor point. This one you can shift it here, and sorry, double click, go into isolation. Sorry, probably you want to group them too. Okay, so this is one line, that is another line. Okay, using the direct selection, I will join this point again, so they are joined already. Okay, so now I need the final one, which is to rotate this at a 20 degree. Okay, so again, make sure this is your 0 degree. Press R, press enter, rotate 20 degree. Okay, so this is a common mistake that can happen when you use a pen tool. So remember that you need to change to a selection tool. If not, your last anchor point is always selected. Okay, So let me undo that and explain it one more time. So with the pen tool selected, you click once, you click another time. So this particular point is selected. So if you straight away press R, they will take in consideration this anchor point. Okay. So in order to avoid the problem, you need to make sure you press escape. Okay, once you are escape, the line is cut. So make sure you press the selection tool. So then the whole line is selected. Then from here, you press R, you press enter, you rotate 20 degrees. Make sure you preview. Oh, same thing. One more time. Okay, so here, press R. So you can see both anchor points are selected. And press enter. You see rotate 20 degrees, then OK. So again, go selection tool, click and drag. Make sure you hold the command key and this will snap in place. Okay, you can either add an anchor point, minus to remove, and then you can shift this point, click and drag, join them together. So again, remove unnecessary anchor points. So this corner is done. Okay, so again, generally this is 40, so this is 45 degrees, and then from this particular point, another line that is 20 degrees. Then after that, you just have a straight line here drawn across at the center of the square, and that's it. So coming out of the isolation, that these two shapes are done. Okay, so I just need to replicate these two and shift it exactly to the other side. So this is your second set. Okay, so that is almost done. So the last thing we need to do is to add in the glue details and create the bleed. Okay, so I will not go through how to convert the lines to full lines. So I'm gonna stop the video and come back. So then we will have all the lines drawn properly. Okay. So after you have finished drawing your cut line, fold line, let's I would want you to also include the label. So just put the different parts so that you are aware which side is for what. Okay, I'm just gonna delete this away because I don't really need them anymore. So before we go any further, let's center this to the artboard first. Okay, so select everything, Command G to group, or you can right click and make group. Okay, and then make sure you can select this center. Okay, so now it's in the center. So we will need to now do the bleed. Okay, so let's ungroup all this. So all these elements are separate. Okay, so we actually do not really need the text. So what you can do, maybe create a new layer and can put a reference, because later on you need to put in the job sheet as well. Here your job sheet, so let me just put them in as reference. Okay, so this is your practice 2. Yeah, so all these text will go into that layer. Okay, so I can switch that off. Okay, so let's, okay, this one also I do not need. This is from practice 1. I do not need them anymore. Okay, so let's select everything. So remember, they are all individual. We're gonna use the shape builder tool to create the bleed, to unite everything. So before that, let's just copy first, copy and create another new layer. This will be your bleed. Okay, and you can switch off, and after you have copied, okay, go edit and paste in front. Okay, so all these lines are the duplicate of your cut lines and fold lines of the different segments. So we're gonna select everything. Okay, then using Shape Builder tool, Shift M, you will roll over. Actually, you do not need the bottom piece. So remember, the brief is that the bottom part will be there will be white, it will be white in color, so no color. So we don't need to unite that part. So all you need to do is from here, click and drag and combine only these panels. Okay, so once you're okay, you can release. All right, and probably throw away the bottom pieces. So all this we can throw away, we do not need them. So from this, we will go to object, go to path, and offset the path by 3 mm for the bleed. So this is the bleed that is required. And then again, select everything and unite to get rid of the one inside. So this one, let's give it a color and no stroke. Okay, so this is actually your bleed done. So the bleed will be at the bottom. Let's bring up the rest of the guidelines. Okay, so you will also need to organize so that your cut line is in one layer, your fold line is in one layer. So that practice has been done in practice 1. So remember to do that. Okay, so let's continue to do some allocation. So remember, we need to do glue area. Okay, so you can always create a new layer for your glue area. And also I'm gonna utilize using line segment. So I'm just gonna sort of draw this direction. Stroke will be black, and yeah, it can be, it's just an indication. So what I will do is I will click and duplicate another one. So while this two is selected, go to object, blend and make. Okay, so that's how you do your glue area quickly. And remember, where the glue area is, there shouldn't be any print. Okay, shouldn't be any print. So if you want to, you can create, go to your bleed layer, or you can create a new layer to block out. Okay, so when you design, all the design will be below the block out. Okay, so I will just quickly use a rectangle shape. Okay, I'm gonna draw a shape and it will be filled with white. Okay, and no stroke. Okay, so let's just double click to go into isolation. So using direct selection, click on the corner, let it go to each of the corner of the die line. Okay, then after that, we want to offset it with maybe 1 mm difference. So offset path, I will use -1 so that it offset inside. Okay, the one outside, you can leave it as a reference and probably change that to a none fill. Okay, so now if I zoom in, you can see that it's offset in with 1 mm. Okay, so that is with some bleed, so it's quite nice. Okay, so that is done. Okay, so the other glue area that is critical is here at the bottom part. So this particular flap and this flap. So again, we'll do one and then duplicate for the other one. So using line segment, I'm just gonna do this again, stroke with one point if you want. Okay, duplicate another one. Okay, select both and we can blend. Go object, blend and make. Okay, so you see this current one a bit, it will be different from mine. Okay, so you can again go to the blend tool, which is this one. Okay, or press W. Okay, and then double click, go to specific steps. You can increase if you want to. Okay, number of steps. So because this one is protruding out, maybe use the direct selection and just, make this smaller. So that is done. Okay, so I'll just duplicate another one for the other side. Okay, maybe before that, because the gluing, which will be shown in another video, okay, is critical to understand. This particular glue will be on another side, on the opposite side, not on this side. Okay, so this is just an indication for you so that you know that glue needs to be applied. So just using a text tool, glue on other side. Okay, let me just quickly just put this in as a reference. Okay, and you probably should do the same. Okay, so let me select this and this, duplicate, or let me group first. Just group them, Command G, group them, and shift to the other side. So that is done. So the entire template is done. So let's bring back the rest of the references. So all you need to do is have this printed out and then follow your cut line to cut and your fold line to fold, and the gluing, yeah, this needs to be fold in a certain way so that it will collapse correctly. Yeah. So that's it for this practice 2.